going to continue on here this afternoon with Chris Buescher, driver of the number 17 RFK Racing Ford. Again, if you have a question for Chris, please raise your hand. We'll get a mic to you. We'll start right here.
Hey, Chris. Trenton Worsham with FrontStretch.com. After winning Watkins Glen last week, I believe you said something along the lines of you're happy to win it. You wish you could have won a few weeks earlier to be in the playoffs and stuff, but winning outside the playoffs and competing for wins, is it a different mindset? Is it a little bit more less pressure, a little bit more like, go with the flow type of thing and trying to win races without that extra pressure of the playoffs being there?
Yeah, to be clear, take a win at any point in the season, right? And in the moment, no part of me cared that it was past the playoff cutoff line. But as you sit there and think about it and know that we're able to win that race and know that we got a lot of good ones coming up, obviously wish things would have played out better earlier in the year and we would have been able to be in the playoffs, knowing what that win would have done for a round for us. That being said, we go to the racetrack to win races no matter the situation. So I don't know that it changes the pressure on the weekend, but it does take it takes the mindset of having to chase 3 or 4 stage points here or there in a race, and ultimately set us up for a strategy that puts us in the best scenario to win a race versus trying to hunt those couple of points along the way. So I think that's the bigger difference. It's not necessarily how we approach a weekend and any of the effort that's put into it or any of the prep work. That all stays the same. It's just just a little different on how you can play some strategy calls and maybe take a little bit more of a chance throughout a race.
Okay, we'll go next to Mark Garrow.
Mark Garrow, PRN. Good afternoon. Got to make sure what time it is. Speaking of races that you could have seen things play out differently, wish they did, hope they did. We go to Kansas next week. When you look back at losing a race by 1,000th of a second, what do you think?
Think about 100 different things that could have created 100th or 1,000th of a second. Trust me, that one's been replayed a lot, and will continue to be, no matter what. You go there and win next week, and you're still going to say, "Man, lost a chance for another one months back." Same way, coming to Bristol, every time I show up at this place, I think about leading on a green, white checker in an Xfinity race and running out of fuel or having a fuel stumble, right? That was probably 10 years ago, 10 years ago. It's still on my mind when we show up and walk down that tunnel. So that one's never going away. But to your point, when we go there, it's exciting to know that it's another racetrack that we've had circled for a long time as a fast racetrack for us, something that we've found a lot of speed and been good at, and have the opportunity to capitalize on when we get there. So, it's there's always going to be some amount of looking back, but the good news is that when we look back on it, the high notes are the fact that we were even in the position to be able to win a race, and how do we execute just ever so slightly different.
The last lap, I mean, walk through that a little bit, and you said there's 100 things I'd like to do different to add up to 2,000th of a second, right? You need one on the plus side. What on that last lap, or as you look back on it, what do you think about on it, and what do you wish you might have done? Yeah,
I mean, it's line decisions. It's, knowing if you had gotten back to the throttle 3 inches earlier, that probably makes the difference. That's an incredibly small number as well. Just think about all that. Being ready for the contact down the front straightaway, would have been more prepared for that. Wouldn't have been caught off guard and been sideways scrubbing speed out of it. A lot of different things in that moment that we'll be more prepared for next go around.
Chris, Richard Allen, motorsportsreport.net, over here to your left.
There we go, way over there.
Yeah. Since Brad joined the ownership group at RFK, do you feel like the organization is where it should be? Is it behind where it should be? Is it ahead of where it should be? What do you think?
We're not winning every week, so we're not where we should be. And granted, that's not a realistic expectation in our sport, but the chance to win every week, or the opportunity, the speed, the ability to say, if things would have played out in a little more favorable way, don't leave there saying that we didn't execute to the best of our ability, that we didn't have the speed capable of winning a race. It's a lot of different things. You'll never win every one of them, but how do you at least feel like you had a shot, given a couple things go your way, and you're able to do everything right from what you can control. We're not there. It's been a great year. It's been a really good turnaround for the last 3 seasons, but it needs a little bit more yet. That's showcased by the fact that we weren't able to win a race before the playoffs, that we don't have more wins on the season, that for us it's this race will be stressful for the Six Bunch and Brad, albeit it's been a very good racetrack for RFK, from myself and for Brad. So I don't think there's a worry about not having speed when we come to this place, but needing to fully execute on everything that we can, knowing how the spring race went. What do we predict this go around, and what does that actually look like as we get into practice? There's a lot of different things on the table that are on our minds, because we're not exactly where we want to be. But massive progress has been made, and is continuing to be pushed towards a better standard each and every week still.
We're next to Stephen.
Stephen, sunfronters.com. Chris, since you mentioned last week about how you didn't have to focus on stage points and so on there, does it feel somewhat paradoxical that in a system that's designed, to promote and, encourage winning, that you were able to go for the win while a lot of the drivers in the playoffs really had to just points race last week?
Yeah, when you put it that way. It's certainly interesting to think about, and I talked a lot probably 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago, through that stretch. We've been kind of living on a bubble for that playoff spot for a long time, and knowing that we were going to need a win most likely. We did a good job at putting ourselves in a good spot and recovering from 3 accidents in the last 3 weeks, and gaining a ton of points on those that we thought we were racing, and a couple new winners got us. But that being said, I talked a lot about the fact that I think that points racing does take away your best effort when you go to the racetrack, and I did not want to get stuck in that mindset as we got into those last couple of months that we were going to the racetrack just to try and grab stage points and finish decent. I don't want to do that, and the system can lead you down that road if you're not careful, and it can work. Obviously, the most secure way to do it is to win, and so yes, it is weighted towards going out there and just winning a race, right? But it's easy as you get down to the wire to know that you are close on a point side of things with half a dozen other drivers that you gotta be aware of it. You can't be out there making insane calls or massive risk taking, but at the same time, it's could that have worked out? Maybe. Really, we think about the last 3 weeks. We were in an accident every one of those weeks, and we were in an accident because we were making strategy calls to try and figure out how to win a race, not to try and capitalize on 2 or 3 points here or there.
Any additional questions for Chris? All right, Chris, thanks for coming in, and good luck.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, there's the checkered flag. Great job, driver.